Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom, to Cheifs Latest, your one-stop spot for everything Kansas City Chiefs in 15 minutes or less. It is your host, Calvin Silvers. Happy Tuesday, man. I must say, this week is a lot calmer than what we were experiencing last week in terms of news coming out of Kansas City, and I'll take it because we know Friday is going to be a busy one as the Chiefs kick off their regular season against the Los Angeles Chargers all the way in Brazil. Fingers crossed that the Chiefs get it done, get the season started off on the right foot. But there is one position group that's leaving my stomach a little nervous, just has a pit right in the middle of it. Of course, we're going to dive into it all. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, you know the drill. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on those notifications because we have daily, that's right, daily videos here at Cheifs Latest, Monday through Friday. And with the season starting on Friday, you're not going to want to miss any of the news, rumors, or actions regarding this team. So please hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, as it not only helps me in the channel, but it's going to help you stay up to date with everything Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I mentioned one position group that's making me nervous, and that is the defensive tackle room. Of course, some red flags were raised as the Chiefs cut Mike Pennell. And then you decide to bring back Derek Nottie, and that's just leaving your interior line looking a little shaky. Some head scratchers that the Chiefs have done recently, swapping Pennell for Nottie, banking on unproven guys that you brought in like Roderick Martin, Zach Pickens for the practice squad. That's not going to cause any stress on imposing O-lines. And you no longer have Deshaun Warren, but besides that, Jerry Tillery, Omar Norman Lott, they're not exciting. They weren't showing you anything worth grasping at in camp. And in Beach's own words, he's admitted that they've had a hyper focus on better competition at that position. So that signals that the Chiefs' initial defensive tackle plan, it fell flat. Those that they were expecting to reach certain expectations are not reaching those expectations. If you look at Pennell's stats last season, 320 snaps, 25 tackles, 3 sacks, 62.4 PFF run defense grade. If you look at Nottie, they didn't trust him as much last season. Only 221 snaps, 11 tackles, and a 45.7 PFF run defense grade. So why would you swap the two? Does not make sense. Nottie's familiarity as a nose tackle doesn't outweigh Pennell's ability to clog the running lanes. In Tillery's quiet preseason, that raises doubts about his pass rush factor with Jones. And then Norman's Lott has his little injury. He's added both too for a 3-tech role, so that leaves his effectiveness in question right now. And Martin and Pickens, former third-rounders, sure, they have a combined 1.5 sacks together. So they need to prove that they can collapse pockets. So this whole shakeup that the Chiefs are doing, from cutting Pennell to baking on Nottie and untrusted depth, it looks like a misstep. And it could expose the Chiefs' interior line here, unless the Chiefs want to bank on some other names. Look at that transition I just had right there. Pretty smooth, I got to say. I've been working on those a little bit. Maybe not as smooth now that I brought it to your guys' attention, but it doesn't matter. Does not matter. Let's keep it going with the Chiefs. Just defensive tackle room in flux. David Onyemata, he could plug some gaps, but his $16.9 million cap hit and the Falcons' rebuilding mindset makes it a pricey proposition. Onyemata's run stuffing, pass rush history, yeah, it's going to catch the eyes of Chiefs fans. It should. But then you look at his age, 33 years old, and the trade cost, likely a mid-round draft pick. That's probably not going to fit Kansas City's tight cap space or their plans in general. His Falcons time, 7 sacks, 21 QB hits, 14 tackles for loss, and 30 starts. He had an 83.3 PFF grade in 2023. Of course, last year that took a hit, but we'll gloss over that for a second. But last season's stats, 45 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 pass deflection, it wasn't bad. And if the Falcons were to trade him, they would save $8.1 million in cap space. Makes him expendable in their eyes. So Onyemata's ability to clog the run lanes, pressure QBs, even from a 1-tech or 3-tech spot, that's going to pair well with Jones. It's going to ease pressure on Norman Lott, on Tillery, on any of your depth pieces. The Chiefs' cap constraints, though, having found value in the draft as well with the picks that they do usually get, it's going to make this trade tough without Atlanta having some kind of, ability to retain the salary. So, yes, his veteran presence could shore up the Chiefs' especially shaky defensive tackle group right now. But his age is a factor. His steep cap hit makes this a long shot. I'm not going to lie, especially if there's no major reconstructions of contracts or Atlanta doesn't have that salary retention. But not all is lost. There's still a name out there that the Chiefs could look at. I've even brought this name up before in a past episode, but it is a cheaper option for the Chiefs, and that is Raekwon Davis. He's massive, 6'7". I love that frame because it's going to plug your A and B gaps. You need that. It's going to stabilize the interior line. But because of that, he has a lack of effectiveness when it comes to pass rush. It limits what he can do. It's going to basically limit him to early down work. And then he has that non-football illness that raises some red flags. But a 1-year, prove-it deal, it's a low-risk reward for Veach, especially if it works out. And if you look at his past 2 seasons, 43 tackles, 21 solo, 3 tackles for loss, 0 missed tackles in 28 games. So, not too bad. His size, his strength allows him to occupy multiple blockers and anchor the interior line effectively, again, as a no shade or one technique defensive tackle. But there are red flags. His health status is the deal breaker. If cleared, yeah, he can be a rotational run stuffer. He could outshine Noddy's run game. But does his lackluster pass rush ability hold back from the Chiefs picking him up along with the health? I don't know. Those are two things that need to be figured out before anything. But this all comes back full circle. There's a reason that this whole episode was revolving around, the defensive tackles and the D-line. And that's because Mike Pennell's release from Kansas City, yes, was a shocker. And what's even maybe more of a shocker is his decision to join the Bengals practice squad. We know that we know them as a bitter AFC rival. This is a shot to the Chiefs, a shot to his former team. He's even, aired his frustrations out on social media as well. He's taken it very personal. His championship pedigree, his surprising, honestly, 2024 pass rush ability, he had a career high in sacks. It could help Cincinnati's line in a rotational role. But his choice to take a practice squad deal over an active roster spot somewhere else, I think that does raise questions about what his market is right now. Maybe the Chiefs made the right decisions. So I don't think we should panic yet. In fact, he could still be poached before he's even elevated. But his move to Cincy, I think, suggests that Veach is okay letting this proven veteran walk, despite what your room is looking like. 25 tackles last season, 3 sacks again. That was a career high. In his career, 231 tackles and 5 sacks across 138 games. 2-time Super Bowl champ, that run lane anchor. It's going to give the Bengals a seasoned voice, especially alongside people like B.J. Hill, Chris Jenkins. I think they can rely on that. 3 sacks in 2024 allowed unexpected interior disruptor skills. But his practice squad status, refusal of a, Chiefs offer to maybe even join their practice squad, if that was the case, is this a pride thing? Is this a strategic wait for elevation? I don't know what it is. But the move to the Bengals practice squad will likely end up in him being called to the active 53-man roster. They probably want him to be a rotational piece. But again, this departure highlights a risky, DT room that probably had a misstep here. And it might end up costing them. We'll see. Of course, Veach said he's always down for a reunion down the road, but I don't know. Pennell might have took this a little too personally. But that is all that I have for you on this lovely Tuesday. Let me know in the comments what you think about our defensive tackle room right now. Are you worried about it at all like I am? I think there is some need to be worried, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And what about my 2 options? Do you agree that we can bring either of them? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And again, thanks for all the love and support that you guys have been showing with the channel lately. It truly means a lot. You are listening to Cheifs Latest. I am your host, Calvin Silvers. And until next time, have a good one.